What if you could use a program without installing the program? Watch this. Rough is a Python linter, and rough isn't on this machine anywhere. I type one command, rough runs, rough checks the folder, and then rough's gone again. Nothing was added to any project, and nothing at all was left behind. Welcome back. This chapter is about borrowing tools instead of owning them, and about the small warehouse on your own machine that makes borrowing feel instant. Start with the command itself, because two spellings of it exist, and knowing that saves confusion later. First, a small thing that saves confusion later. UVX is not a separate program at all. Typing UVX rough is exactly the same as typing UV tool run rough. Not similar, identical, and the documentation says so plainly. Both spellings are worth knowing, because older tutorials tend to use the long one. So, what actually happens when you run one? UV builds a tiny throwaway environment off in the cache, drops the tool into it, runs the tool, and then simply stops caring about that environment. Your project isn't touched, which means nothing lands on your path either. You won't find a new command sitting there afterwards. Because nothing is being installed, you can pin a version without committing to anything at all. Adding at 0.3.0 runs that exact release. Adding at latest always fetches the newest one. Neither choice changes a single file in the project you happen to be standing in. Two flags turn UVX from a nice trick into something you'll use constantly. Sometimes the package and the command have different names. The package HypePy installs a command called HTTP, so UVX HypePy would look for a command called HypePy and fail. -- from tells UV which package to fetch, and the word after it is the command to run. And -- with adds extra packages into that throwaway environment for the one run. So you can hand a tool a plugin it doesn't ship with, use the pair together once, and leave no trace of either afterwards. Better still, a tool can come straight out of a Git repository, which is how you try somebody's unreleased branch without adopting it. Same shape as before, fetch, run, forget, except the parcel came from a repository rather than the warehouse. So, why does any of this feel instant, when the first run clearly had to download 10 megabytes? I timed it. The first UVX rough, on a completely empty cache, took 5.792 seconds. That's 10 megabytes fetched, unpacked, and run. The second, seconds later, took 0.294. Same command, same machine. The only difference is that the parcel never had to leave town twice. That local store is called the cache, and the cache is the real answer to why UV feels the way it does. I'll open it up properly in a later chapter, because it deserves one. For now, just hold on to the shape. The first run pays, and every run afterwards doesn't. A tool can also be run under a Python you do not have. Passing -- Python 3.12 makes UV fetch that interpreter, build the throwaway environment on top of it, and run your tool there, while the Python you normally use sits completely untouched. And if you want to see where all of that actually happens, look inside the cache. Every throwaway environment UVX has ever built is sitting in one folder, keyed by exactly what was asked for, which is why asking for the same thing twice costs nothing the second time. Occasionally you'll want to force a fresh copy, because a tool has published a fix and the cached parcel is still the old one. -- refresh throws that cached copy away for a single command, and only for that command, so everything else you've built up stays exactly where it is. If you've used pips, all of this will feel familiar because pips does the very same job and has done for years. What's different is that UV already owns the cache, already owns the resolver, and already owns the interpreters, so borrowing one more tool costs UV almost nothing to arrange. Quick 1. You run UVX rough inside a project folder. Afterwards, is rough a dependency of that project? Pause here and decide for yourself before I say a word. Ready? No, the environment lives in the cache and your project never heard about it. One honest limitation before we finish. Because every UVX run builds its own little environment, a tool you reach for 20 times a day pays a small startup cost every single time, and none of those tools end up on your path. When that starts to annoy you, the answer is the next chapter. So, to recap, UVX and UV tool run are the same command. UVX builds a throwaway environment, runs your tool in it, and forgets the environment. And the second run of anything is nearly free, because the cache already has the parts. Next chapter, the tools you actually want to keep, and the one misunderstanding that catches everybody who installs one.